It's bubbling again. Dr. Solarian at the console, beaker in hand. Andrew's in the lab coat. Samantha sealing the bags. Lab on. Let's go. I don't drip, my LC floods thick sludge. Brewed in the lab where the pressure don't budge. Got the broth on spin, Thor plate torque. Amber glows like a harness, the forge. Spawn rack stacked, yeah, rack to the ceiling. Sawdust base with that deep grain feeling. This ain't your buddy's half-baked mix. This is Elixir, the real lab fix. Elixir on deck, culture gone rogue. Syringe to the bag, now watch it explode. Keep spawning culture, it's more than a phrase. It's a whole lab world that we set ablaze. Sterilize first, don't mess with decay. Unless you breed mold, then...
Hey y'all, it's Andrew with Mossy Creek Mushrooms. I cannot hear myself. Well, hopefully you guys can hear me. What's going on, y'all? Yeah, it's a surprise live. I've got to get some lives out. So, and I was like, well, I've got tonight off, so I figured I would just do it tonight. I never have as big of an audience on the surprise lives, so as soon as I'm done with this one, I'll get another one loaded in the chamber for next week. But I'm hoping to continue doing some of the surprise ones as well. So. We'll see. I don't really care for the webcam. I bought what I thought was a fairly nice one, and it's still grainy as grainy can be. So I might have to upgrade there. But I have my old rig, excuse me, set up over here, and I don't know. We'll see if we get that one going. But yeah, I hope everybody's doing well tonight. I know I am. Doing pretty well. I am. Oh, shoot. Somebody just tried to call me, Samantha. Never mind. It was a spam call. Sorry, guys. Let me turn my phone off real quick before I forget. Because otherwise, I know I'm going to get a call in the middle of this. All right, cool. Well, I don't have a ton of stuff to talk about. I mean, I've got a ton of stuff to talk about, but I don't have anything like planned where this is... you know, just a surprise thing going on. So I'm not sure also why the comments aren't popping up, but they're supposed to automatically do that now. There we go. It worked. What's up, Eric? Yeah, man. Good to hear from you. Still need to come out there and visit. What's up, Christian? Glad to see you guys on. Yeah, it's been an eventful week. We've had a lot of interesting things going on. Had someone really just after us on Instagram for some reason. That was super fun. I posted it this time because I don't think people are used to seeing the kind of negativity that people who run like the mushroom businesses and stuff or the social media accounts. Actually, we get a ton of stuff. It's negative. We get a ton of positive. We get way more positive than I do negative. So I don't want to complain too much. But sometimes, man, that negativity gets to you. It's a little difficult to just let it go. But, yeah, they were big mad on Insta. Yeah. He was, gosh, man, the guy was like, I don't even mind. Like, if you don't like my products, don't like my products. That's fine with me. But he hasn't even tried my products. And then to get on there and just poo-poo them like crazy. But the kids are enjoying the evening. Samantha's about, I think, running to go grab some cat food or something where the cats are hungry. And then, so I was like, man, if I'm going to be here alone, I might as well just do a live stream, hang out with you guys. I'll probably do a Discord chat tomorrow. So it's about time to start bringing the Discord chats back. I do have a little bit of the coughing stuff going on today. So please forgive me if I end up coughing. I might have to duck off and take like a minute break or something. But if I do, I will be right back, kind of thing. Do have my trusty RO water here. Oh yeah, man. Well, and somebody made a good point. Like, it's nice to have haters, right? Like, it's kind of nice to have haters because it means that you finally made it. We'll keep that water handy. Just finished my walk-in cooler and use it also as a prep air room for my 300 square foot growing room. That's interesting. I haven't seen anybody do that before. Let me know how that goes. I don't think I've ever seen that. So I'd be very interested to know if it goes favorably or not. Good evening. I know you said you have kept LC syringes around at room temperature. Hey, it's Vance. Room temperature for over a year, and they were okay. But wouldn't it be better to store them in the fridge, or does it even matter? I don't know for sure. I think so. My thoughts on this are that a syringe, once it runs out of nutrients, is basically Castellini storage. Castellini being the method where they store in like RO water, distilled water, oil, that kind of stuff. Something that the mushrooms can sit in, but doesn't have any nutrition for them. They kind of go into a stasis kind of mode as long as they don't dry out. It's not purely it's not stasis as in like everything freezes. There is some minor metabolic function. I can't remember all of it right this second. I'd have to look back in my book. But if Ed was on here, and if Ed does get on here, I'll ask him if I can remember. If you see Ed pop on, then you can ask the question again for sure. But in my experience, Castellini seems to be very, very good for up to a year. A fridge might slow that down even more. I don't know if a combined refrigerator Castellini method is a good way to go. I've only just now started really playing around with slanting and Castellini method. So I don't have a strong answer for you, Vance. In my opinion, by the time you store syringes, by the time you fully pull a jar, you should have eaten up the vast majority of the nutrition in the jar, in the liquid. So when that's the case and you pull into syringes, that should be a Castellini storage method and already stored like that. But sometimes you'll see mushrooms grow past the little silicone plunger bit, and they'll grow up and through, and that's pretty rare. I don't see it very often. My assumption is that there's some sort of minor leak in the syringe or something like that when you see that. But if you have no air, no nutrition, then the mushrooms go into the stasis mode where they basically just try to halt as much metabolic function as possible, and then just slowly catabolize. That there's two forms of metabolic process. You have anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism is growth. So think bulking. Whenever someone's weightlifting, they eat a ton of food and they weightlift. That's encouraging anabolism so that they grow big, muscles, strong. And humans, it also encourages the growth of all tissues, including fat and things like that. And then you cut, which is a catabolic process. And then they go high protein in their shakes and stuff like that, and go through catabolism, which means they're trying to get the vast majority of their energy through protein, and they remove carbohydrates and fats so that they lose fats because they're burning more calories. But because they have all the protein they need, they don't lose as much muscle mass because the body's not robbing the protein. That's what mushrooms do as well. They do a catabolic process in stasis where they slowly eat away at the tissues to like periphery tissues, I guess, to keep the core tissues, the important stuff alive for as long as possible. So it's super cool stuff. And that's the like me trying to put it in as simple a method as possible. And part of that's because while fungal nutrition is something that I've been studying for a good year and a half, like really in depth, it's still a mushrooms blow my mind. You have one of the most physiological, simple organisms on the planet. That's not the simplest organism by any means, but they're very simple compared to animal life in most functions. Except when it comes to physical, mechanical. You might as well think mushrooms and fungus branched off at some point in the tree, and animals went mechanical. We love mechanical filtration. We have organisms that live inside us that are well, I mean, they're now part of our immune system. But white blood cells that mechanically, they grab the enemy and encase it and leave it. And then mushrooms and fungus went, chemical. they're chemical factories. So most of the interesting things with mushrooms, as much as we like to look at them and see all this stuff, most of the stuff is chemical. So it's super interesting. I love the whole thing. So feedstocks and all kinds of stuff is really, really important to it. But the way they catabolize is interesting. The way they identify source nutrients, they uptake it, and then utilize that, and the transportation systems inside them is just it's beautiful. It's very, like, I wish I understood chemistry far more. My grandfather was a chemist, and I wish once a day using the UV light. Wait, Christian, I think it must have hold on one of your comments. Just finished my walk-in cooler. I also use it as prep air room for my 300 square foot growing room once a day using UV light. So like you're going through and cleaning it once a day with UV light. The third and fourth harvest, and I'll just keep going for testing. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to know what's up with the mind. Well, I hope. Like, I always try to come up with ways to simplify the language and use. I grew up, very going to church and stuff. I grew up listening to allegories a lot, and so to me, it always helps me to break down complex subjects into an allegorical lesson or something like that, I guess. And I find that it seems like a lot of people work really well off allegory. Maybe that's why it's used so much. Gotta love that mycelium, when it fruits through a tea patch of surprise, you have fruit in the lab. Man, yeah, and reishi is one of the worst for that. So I don't even put them in the lab anymore. They all go to incubation. Because they will push through that filter and then they'll spore dump red rusty spores all in your lab, and that's not super fun. That's not fun at all. We can vary from single-celled organisms to multi-scale. Well, as far as fungus goes, for sure. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So, Colin, you look like a blacksmith, maybe? Hey, Andrew, I'm a new grower. Thank you for all the education. I love your channel. A couple questions. At what time? And thank you for that. I appreciate that. It's nice to be appreciated. Couple questions. At what time should I consider getting a lab set up versus buying grain spawn? That's a really good question. My opinion on this is whenever you can afford a couple of part-time employees is really the best time. It's there are as many different ways of growing mushrooms as there are mushroom growers and cultivators. Everybody has their own system, and we all just borrow parts from each other. So one of the where's that latch? One of the interesting things about this is that if you're going to take it to the business side of things, it's going to change things for you. And if it's going to be a hobby kind of thing, then you can approach it any way you want. But yeah, I mean, what I would do is buy grain spawn in and use some grain spawn. And once you have it down and you feel like you could go from liquid, you could, sterilize your own spawn. Then what you do is you buy in grain spawn and you expand that grain spawn into more grain spawn. Once you can do that reliably, the next step is to buy in jars, make your own liquid culture, buy a syringe, expand that, or actually you could buy a syringe regularly, go to a grain master, expand that out. Then the next step is to produce your own syringes, and you just keep working backwards like that. It's going to depend. When is going to depend on you, what you're comfortable with. Now, we'll say if you're going commercial, you need to cut out every bit of work possible. So the best thing to do is when you have a couple of, like when Samantha and I was trying to do the lab side of things. I got out of the lab. I got into growing commercial mushrooms, like commercial amounts of mushrooms. Then, I mean, small scale, granted, I was only doing it at my peak. I only ever did about 1,500 pounds a week. For those of you who don't know, I don't actually commercially grow mushrooms anymore. Actually, I'm about to do a video on that. Don't tell anybody. The thumbnail is going to say I quit. It's going to be a little bit of clickbait, but it's not actually clickbait because I actually have quit growing I've quit growing mushrooms commercially. The main thing, and it's so that I can focus all my labor on the breeding projects. I have a strain tester network built that's just started up, and then I have all kinds of other little things that I'm doing where I'm collaborating a lot more with people to grow the fresh mushrooms. Now, I grow just enough mushrooms for spore prints, for personal eating, extracts, things like that. but it's a very different setup than what I had when I was growing commercial volumes, and that's in part because I didn't want to manage a large crew anymore. So we kind of went, and then I had the medical issues, and the medical issues drove me to what can I do, while I'm down, and it's hard to mushroom farm when you're down without employees. So that said, Samantha and I went back to the lab. Whatever, we got it down to where we had 2 part-time employees working 20 hours each, and Samantha and I were only working about 18 hours each on the business, pulling in. Again, if we had sank all this, was like 2019 was the first year. If we had been careful and I hadn't sank things into cameras and lab equipment and supplies and payroll to grow the business even bigger, I could have sat back with 2 part-time employees, Samantha and I working 18 hours each, and pulling in a little over 100K in profit. So with that, it changes a little bit different. So that's whenever I would say, is when you can get those 2 part-time employees coming in to free up your time. If you can get them coming in and making blocks and inoculating blocks, putting them in incubation, cleaning your grow room, that kind of thing, then you are golden because you've got the free time. So as long as you get the free time, I think you're good. Hope that wasn't too long of an answer and too roundabout. So goldsmith. Okay. I was going to say those are little hammers, but I know blacksmiths have little hammers too. So my kids have a forge. I dabbled in metalworking very, very lightly and never did get very into it. But hey, Jake, what's up? Are you interested in crown? Yes, I am absolutely interested in crown tip corals. I think I just posted. Was it yesterday or today? I posted our the crown tip corals that from Jacob Howard he sent, and they're currently fruiting on petri dish right now. They've got little floofs coming off of them, so I am 100% interested in crown tip coral. I'm interested in pretty much any edible. In particular, if it'll grow on wood, then I am even more interested in it. So, and crown tip, is one of the wood growers. So far, I've been growing it on some like pine sawdust, and it seems to be doing really well on the pine. I've tried growing it on like even grain spawn. It just doesn't want to take off for me on grain spawn. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong with it. But the stuff that I put to the pine sawdust is growing really, really well. So we just lost a hydroponics and mushroom farm on our sister island. They just had too much space overhead and low demands. Own 2 Thors and way too many bags. Future expenses. Dang, man. That is an interesting islands, man. That's a very interesting ecosystem. I mean that in a financial sense. Like it's a very interesting business ecosystem. I'm not sure that I would even know all the things that you guys have to think about on a daily basis that I don't have to because of the conveniences of where I live. But then again, you also get the islands. So, I don't know where you are on that, but that's exactly what I do. How about Mongolian Neolentinus? I think it's some sort of soggy. I'm definitely interested in that for sure. And I bet Ed would be too. I'm hoping we see Ed jump on. He almost always jumps on and says, hey. So we'll see. But I am on at a weird time for him in Thailand. So, but if you're on, Jacob, you and Thailand are not far, I would say, off time zones. But I am absolutely, sawgills interest me very much so. And I think that's what Ed did his doctoral thesis on. Was Lentinus. So maybe not a Leo Lentinus, but a Lentinus nonetheless. So someone just turned me on to, I don't know if you guys have seen Renegade mushrooms, but somebody had just turned me on to Renegade. And I can't believe that I'd missed this guy. Like, this was crazy. And apparently he did a video on he did a group 3 different blue oysters, like 4 months ago. And BS26 was in there. And BS26 won. Now, granted, he did dock some points, I think he said, because BS26 was slower, and which it is. And that yielded a little less, but I think he picked a little early for that. But if he picked them all early, then maybe the early yield on it's down. But even then, he was saying that the culinary side of things and the color on BS26 just had it for him where it won out. So, which I thought was very, very, very interesting because that's exactly what I had slated BS26 for, was as a market oyster. Because, if it grows a little slower, a little less yield, but beautiful color, people are there for the flavor when they're going to market. It's not like grocery store stuff, just exactly. But just got it cloned and cultured, pushing into grain spawn. I'm going to end up sending a massive amount in this one. I am cool with that, man. I am absolutely cool with that. We'll have to see what customs does, because I know you always have a harder time getting stuff through customs to me than, well, I mean, maybe not. Maybe we have it bad, but I know you said Mongolian customs is really difficult since you guys don't have much of a microbiology industry there. So it's interesting. It makes you a double pioneer, right? Thailand is an hour difference, I think. Okay, yeah, I was thinking that it was probably something like that. Like it was for me, like Nashville is for me. So, but how hard would it be for you to get to Thailand, Jacob? How hard would it be for me to get to Thailand? But no Walmarts. Everything comes in by ship, but blue water for days slows its time down to island time. I've heard a lot about island time. We've had a few people come here from Dominican Republic, Costa Rica. There's another island, and I can't remember where. But the interesting thing there would be making enough money to survive and then just enjoying it all, right? I bet my blood pressure would be down to nothing with blue water for days. Water is where I feel most at home. In fact, most of my gardens out here, I wish you guys was more mobile. I could take you out there, but in front of my entire front dock, it's just lined with tubs where I've made these. I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Chinampas gardens, but it's like where in Mexico City where they had these canals that they would dig and pile up the mud from the dug out places. And then they'd create these little strips of land that they would grow their crops on. So, I just did buckets, but I did buckets in these pans of water. And I've got little fish and frogs. And it's funny because my parking lot has got praying mantises and dragonflies and damselflies and like all kinds of stuff. But the water, like I just love the water ecosystems. And every bit of the muck that I've built out there, the organic matter, which aquatic plants oftentimes love, or especially swampy kind of plants love thick organic matter. I've just made all of that with the mushroom blocks. It's like old and or spawn that didn't pass quality control. It just goes right into the composter, which is completely just seething with black soldier flies right now. So you figured out a loophole. Okay, cool. Hopefully that makes a big difference in the quality of our transactions, because you definitely have some interesting stuff, especially where you're at. Now, interestingly enough, I would be very interested to see if you guys have golden oysters in the forested areas, because it lists Mongolia as a place that it is native to. It's like Eastern Russia, Mongolia, China, and Japan or something like that, I think is where the golden oyster is. However, I know that there's a lot of people getting on the anti-golden oyster train right now because of we're seeing quite a big population kind of explode across the U.S. It sucks that there's getting some hate for it, because golden oysters are one of the richest food sources for ergothioneine, which is an incredible anti-inflammatory and has helped me a lot with my inflammation. You still looking for it? Yeah. I figured the moment you saw it, you'd let me know. So it'd be interesting. I don't know. I think that what I would do if I was concerned, or even just to kind of be more cautious with the golds, I think I'm going to set up like a little rain filter for my exhaust and then just pull most of the spores using a trickle rain filter. I think that I've seen those be very effective when I've worked with them. But it's also one of the tastiest oysters, in my opinion. It's one of my favorite. You're late. Well, it was a surprise, man. So you're not really late. You just got here whenever you heard about it, I guess. I didn't really let a lot of people know that we were doing anything, so I just made it and popped to it. Hey, Samantha's back. So anyone ever given thought to certifying organic? We have one farm here, and they are asking if I would do it, but it seems that there are too many layers to get organic. So there are people that do organic, and I personally don't see a commercial reason to do it most of the time. It's sorry, I got my ADHD kicked off, but it's complex, it's expensive. You got to run with more expensive stuff, and if it doesn't add $1 to the value that you get at the end, then why do it? So if there is for some reason that it's actually going to raise your income, which they promise that it will, and then a lot of people go through it and they find out that mushrooms have a cap, and they're pretty much already at the cap because mushrooms are popular. So I don't know. That's going to really depend on your situation too. There's going to be a lot of moving parts that. Welcome back, baby. But yeah, I mean, I'm not against organic. Like a lot of people think that I'm like anti-organic or something, and I'm not anti-organic. I just think that it's a tool, and you do it when it makes sense. And you'll hear people who like it are pretty loud about it, but then I don't see a lot of monetary value added to it. Not to mention that now you're going to have to be even more restrictive with your inputs. And the inputs that we're working with are mostly good enough, I think. People worry a little bit about what binder they might use in like hardwood fuel pellets. So if you look at it, it's like 99.9% hardwood, and then it's 0.01% ash as a binder or something like that. I don't know. It's definitely not as regulated. But I mean, I'd be interested to see, what kinds of things they're putting through feed pellets and stuff as well. If we're worried about that. Just listen to your interview with St. Joe when you mentioned using St. Joe Josiah. St. Joe, when you mentioned using a biogas digester to sterilize blocks. Did you ever try this out? Any success? I did not try it out. Well, I started to try it out. We had this big fancy gas bag that I bought. We set it up. It was running. We were just getting ready to start harvesting gas off of it. And one of my employees dropped a cart. We put that back like a rack off the dock because it was just off the dock. They dropped a rack on it, and the rack, one of the poles ripped right through the bag. So we had it wasn't too stinky, thankfully, but it was a little stinky. We had a stinky mess, and no gas that we got to harvest. So I was not happy because it was something I had to import from Israel, and it was I was super excited about it. I still want to try it. But at this point, I'm not using the pasteurizer, and it was to pasteurize blocks instead of. Well, I guess I could have sterilized with the pressure cookers. But did you get any results from the premix for sub? We are waiting to hear back from that now. So for me, I haven't seen much difference in the rate of growth, but that's not really what it was designed for. Oysters are already so aggressive that I really didn't think that there was a biological way to increase their speed like that. Other than I think the LC premix has more to do with that than the block premix. But the premix for the subs is more for secondary metabolite production. So I think spalting, you more color production, more vibrant color production. For psilocybin, you're thinking more cellulose and psilocybin and the other alkaloids production because those are secondary metabolites. For oysters like blue oyster or gold, that hopefully translates to more color and more nutrition. I mean, there's active molecules that produce these colors that make them. What is it in blue? Pleuroxine? I think it's called pleuroxine in blue that gives blue the blue color. So, and where I'm not growing the mushrooms out very much, I don't get as much results. So now with the block premix, one strain in particular showed a love for it and grew in faster, pinned like 5 days sooner than everything else. And the control group, and that was the Mossy Creek oyster. And I don't really have a reason for that. I'm not sure why a pulmonarius would do it like that. So, but anyways, yeah, it's more about the secondary metabolite production, and I'm gonna see. But I've already sent it off or pack up. It's not sent off yet. To a couple places in Colorado to do some alkaloid testings out there. I've got some places that we're going to work with that I've got to get the premix made up and send out to them for extracts. So they're going to grow a control group, and then they're going to do like lion's mane. They'll do a control group, and then they'll do the block premix. And we're going to test for that to see if perhaps it raises the erinacine content. Ganodermas. This formula was specifically designed in part for Ganodermas, so I'm hoping that'll work there as well. But taste and quality, oof. The blue, the BS26, or hold on, I'm assuming that you're talking about the BS26. Yeah, definitely one on taste and quality. So. ADHD, squirrel, fungus, peppers, fish. Are you asking me to go over some of that stuff? Because I can. We absolutely have peppers. In fact, I ate peppers today for lunch. We grow this pepper called a Zvarsky. It's a roasting pepper out of Macedonia. And one of my favorite things about it, so I just threw some burger on the grill, some patties, and then on my pit boss, and then threw some Zvarsky pepper that I threw on there as well until they were nice and blistered. Brought them back in and sliced them up into little chunks, and then we sliced up some fresh tomatoes. So we had tomato and turkey burger and roasted blistered peppers on top of that, and that was a really, really good lunch. But we've got 15 different types of peppers out in the parking lot right now. And they are loaded. In fact, I'm going to cook up some shishitos tonight. I love those shishitos. Just a little butter or lard. Roll them around in the pan hot until they brown on all sides, and then crack a little salt and pepper over them. Throw them on toast. It's one of the best things ever. So I'm a big pepper grower. I'm not as good with tomatoes. I trade for my tomatoes. So we trade mushrooms with one of Aislin's friends' grandfathers for the tomatoes out of his garden because he grows tomatoes like crazy. So as far as fish go, I've just like my garden's my little personal project. It's my sanity. I go out there when I'm fed up, and when I just can't take mushrooms no more, I go out there and play in the plants and the bugs and the fish and cook some good food. So yeah, it is. Give me a second, guys. I'm gonna take a quick break and just go use the restroom real quick. So one moment.
Introducing the future of mycology, Dr. Silurian's Elixir of Mycelial Mastery. This isn't your average culture mix. It's a revolution in a packet, crafted for the dedicated cultivator seeking unparalleled growth. Experience the visual alchemy of this masterful brew. As you mix 10 grams with 500 milliliters of water, watch the solution transform into a rich, amber spectacle, the hallmark of a nutrient-dense sanctuary for your burgeoning mycelium. This is where vibrant color meets vibrant life, setting our elixir apart from the ordinary clear liquid cultures. Prepare to be captivated. Mix 10 grams of Dr. Silurian's elixir with 500 milliliters of water, add a stir bar for thorough integration, and sterilize the blend at 15 psi for 45 minutes. Once cooled, introduce your favorite culture into this perfectly prepared, nutrient-rich environment. Watch in awe as the elixir works its magic, unveiling a mycelial masterpiece before your eyes. Choose Dr. Silurian's Elixir of Mycelial Mastery for a mycological adventure that's as visually enchanting as it is potent.
Hey guys, welcome back to my presence. Almost didn't make it back in time. What? Me? What about me? I stole that from Ben. That's what Ben's always said. Whenever he comes back, he always when Ben shows up here at the office or whatever, he's always like, "Welcome back to my presence." I've been binging all your old content over the last week or so. Why did it sell to restaurants by volume or weight? I did it because it made more sense to me. Looking at it from a first principles perspective, it made a lot more sense for the grower and the restaurant, in my opinion. Now, they do everything by weight. So my pitch to the chefs was, hey, I sell by the case. I sell by volume. We're going to fill this case up for you because some of the better quality mushrooms are lighter in weight. So if you want, that case, I can sell it to you by volume, and you get a full case of the heavier stuff and the lighter stuff kind of mixed together. You get the better quality, and it encourages me to grow the diversity that you want. Because if you want the most flavorful oysters, and they're the lighter ones typically, then you want me selling to you by volume, because I'm encouraged to grow those. But if you want to buy by weight, then I'm going to grow the heaviest mushroom, and I'm going to be tempted. I never did it, but I'm going to be tempted to jack the humidity up and weigh those mushrooms down with water weight. And do you want to pay for $8 a pound water, or would you rather pay, $80 for a case of just flesh? And it's about the same amount of flesh every time. So, it's one of the things that just made sense to me, and we did it well for years, but then after a while we just went to we just got tired of the resistance, and so we went to weight. And that's just because that's what made sense to them, because everybody else does weight. But I think weight is not necessarily the best indicator. So just did a mango festive, made mushrooms taco sliders with mango salsa. Ooh. Sliced mushrooms, peppers, and onions on a 2-inch tortilla. That sounds delicious. I love tacos. Oh, actually, I wish I could go for a taco bowl or something tonight. I wish I'd thought about that. Some tortilla chips or something. Oh, making me hungry, Eric. Yeah, I mean, it made sense to me too, Michael. But when there's a system already, you have to kind of weigh, am I going to fight the system and educate, or am I just going to get in there and grow? And we just started doing by weight, and then we started doing mixed cases, and just only doing mixed cases. And so, we might do like half the case the heavy variety and half the case the lighter varieties. And they, Samantha, I always let Samantha do that, because Samantha has that kind of care to go in there and make it look really nice, and the detail orientedness and stuff. So that was where she was most of the time on that side, and I did most of the lab stuff. So let's see. Samantha and I are working on the website. So we have, we added a couple of new strains last night, and we're slowly trying to patch it up. I actually did not realize that I was like, man, why is some of the sales slow on some of this stuff? We have it in stock, and I know people want it. And it's fair that I got to looking at it, and some of it was put on back order or out of stock, and it was just like, well, wait a minute, we didn't do that. So we had to go. We're doing an audit on the website right now. I basically got in there and did an emergency patch job to get it the way I wanted it. Now it's closer to there, but that's being Samantha and I are working on some stuff in the background. But actually took 2 steps forward and 3 steps back is kind of what we felt like we just did with our website game. But we're working on it, and we're getting there. It'll be nice. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to try to show you guys something, but I'm going to see Oh, need to subscribe to that, I guess. All right, so where is the button? Share screen. I'm sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Okay. And then I gotta add it to the stage. There we go. Cool. So we were talking about this a minute ago. I thought we would kind of look at it. So I just subscribed to him on this account. I was already subscribed to him, but check it out. There we are.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back.
We won't watch this whole video because you guys should go watch it yourselves if you're interested. But he does the Brat blue, the Harbor blue from Norse 4, and then he does the BS26 as well. And let me
so we'll give them another.
You got some good
week or
footage.
So, let them white up nice and tight, and then we'll check back in. All right, we were at full count.
I am interested to see that he does mainly where is it? The tubs instead of the grow room, but
Nose loose. I
haven't
have some developing on the top.
seen very many people do the tubs for gourmets.
From Mossy Creek. Starting to get a little swell, little mycelium
There you
bulging where I cut the slits, but no pinning yet. We don't have any top pinning.
And this is where he talks about how the BS26 is behind everything else. Like you're starting to get the Primordia, but these two strains have already fruited, so it's a little, like. And here's BS26, it's still not fruited, just now getting its pins. But he weighs them up. And here you can see, I thought this was a good example of, he shows the blue, the BS26 is here, and I don't remember which one's the Harbor and the Brat. Let's see.
Harbor blocks are actually on their second flush, and this is the first flush, the BS20. Now these are nicely like the others in a couple days, and then we have our BS26s here and here. Now these are very slow growing. These other Brat and Harbor blocks are actually on their second flush, and this is the first flush, the BS26s. So slower than the other two strains, but the color is just amazing.
And that makes a lot of sense to me. Like that BS26, Rocky Top, their sister strains, they never were the fastest. They were interesting looking, which was the primary reason I got them. Rocky Top having that dark contrast with the really ivory white stems and the dark blue. But then BS26 has always just kept a really nice color. As it lightens up, I like the way it looks a lot better than most oysters. And then the whole series from the Lamberts and the Snow Cross has just got a better flavor profile, in my opinion. But I thought it was super cool that he did this. It makes me want to do some of this, especially with some of the strains that I've bred. I can do a few different ones. I like the time lapses.
And we'll wrap it up.
So yeah, there you get to see the Brat, and that's the Harbor there. Brat. I should be saying Brat. I don't know why I'm saying Brat. And there's the Harbor Blue again. I've grown the Harbor Blue. It's been a long, long time. But I miss doing time-lapse photography. I'm going to start doing some more of it.
All right, guys.
And there he goes into the culinary aspects. He's got this guy here who he says does most of that for him. And he does, like I said before, rates the BS26 as the highest one. That made me happy. So it's nice to win the award, I guess. But you guys should check out Renegade Mushrooms. I liked what I've seen so far. I've only known about him for a day or two, but he's got some fun stuff. So, but also, let's start playing around with the AI again. So you guys may get a kick out of this. Um, obviously, do not eat mushrooms raw. I don't know why it did this, but cheers out.
People ask all the time, can you eat these mushrooms raw? The answer is yes.
I said that to my parents and freaked them out.
Natural, I say.
Savannah said it's unnatural, I say. I gotta watch it one more time. Just one more time.
People ask all the time, can you eat these mushrooms raw? The answer is yes.
It cracks me up. Gemini's now got the feature where you can just give it a picture and tell it to animate the photo, and that's what it chose to do. I just said animate the photo. I didn't say, or no, I said something like, have me eat this mushroom in one big bite. Well, it didn't. I guess it did, but it added in some extra stuff. So, huh? So that doesn't even have my same teeth. Yeah, it makes me look a lot more like Yeti. It definitely sounds like the Sasquatch videos. It's the same voice. The same voice it makes for all the vlog stuff. In terms of speed of colonization and fruit, and King Blue beats them all of them. It absolutely does. Actually, I've got a King Blue cross series going on right now, and I'm about to release the King Blue cross with Pathfinder that we played with. I've got it in liquid culture bubbling away, stirring away. So what you say is I need to order BS26 from you all to start. That's right. That's exactly right. Huh? And King Blue. It was actually funny on that same video. Let me pull it back up. If you go down here and look at the comments, there was somebody. He's just a Norse. Just a Norse. Yeah, you go. If you get the time, check out content creator Mushroom Basin, which Mike is awesome. I do like Mike a lot. And his Blue Oyster King Blue. And then there's another one I saw down here. Like nobody, there's like 3 or 4, I think, mentions of King Blue. The next one is Spore and Sprout. Let's see. I can't remember exactly where it is. I responded to it, but I didn't say it was mine or something like that. But I did say right here, that's awesome. I didn't know you did a video on my King Blue, just to try to get a little bit of the credit back, you know. But somebody that mentioned that Spore and Sprout also sells. There we go. Spore and Sprout has a good King Blue strain. And it's like, dang, everybody's got King Blue now. So, howdy. What's up, Fungal Rancher? Good to see you. Did you like that, Jacob? Yeah. It does sound like an apple. It has me biting the mushroom and he goes crunch. It's definitely some uncanny valley stuff. But wish I could grow any one of them. The BS things, the harbor and all that stuff. Are you having a hard time with them, or is it because of the temperatures? Because man, the temperatures are kicking my butt right now. Which, granted, I don't have to worry about the grow room as much, but incubation for spawn, I'm having to. Which I do have the HRV on there now, so it makes a big difference. King Blue grows slow for me, 3 weeks and 5 days. Really? Wow. King Blue for me normally that was like we would plant it and incubate it for 10 days and put it in the grow room. It's like 7 to 10 days. That was always a really fast fruiter for us. And you probably got your King Blue from me too, knowing you. So interesting. Hey, we're about 49 minutes in, so I have saved 20% everything on my site with code Smokehouse. That's in honor of the Smokehouse oyster, which is a pink oyster we just put up yesterday. So code Smokehouse, all caps, one word, 20% off. And that does stack with your thank you codes that you get from your previous orders, if those are still, in the valid timeline. Those get changed every 3 months, I think. Was it every 3 months? Or is it every month? Every month. It's every month. Sorry. No, I mean it's. I think it's just fine. So when you fruit a gnocchi in the bag, gotcha. It took me a second. Do you cut any slits to introduce any oxygen at all? I read some people just cutting a corner open. So we have done it a couple of different ways. But I think Samantha's favorite way was just to leave it alone and just let it fruit in the bag. Only the white ones. Well, the gold ones, we did it. Sorry, guys. One more. And the Appalachian gnocchi, we had a whole video where we did it top fruit and side fruit. And they weighed about the same. So, well, I think we had sliced open the top of the bag and let it fruit that way. But I think that honestly the top fruit, I like the way the side looks. The side fruit looks better. Right. Yeah. Okay, so Samantha's saying with the high CO2, the Appalachian gnocchi liked the fresh air. The white gnocchi responded a lot better to the CO2 levels of the closed bags. And the Appalachian gnocchi for us always seemed to side fruit reliably in the grow room. And I like the way the side fruit looks better. And I don't have to reach into a bag to get it. And it will fruit a second or third time if you pick it and then allow it to go. The Appalachian gnocchi in particular is one of those that'll just keep spitting out flushes pretty rapidly. Takes a little while to get going, but once it's there. 10 days for you two on the King Blue. Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, it's a speed demon for sure. Yeah, exactly. I knew what you meant. It just took me a second. Yeah, I wonder if was that an autocorrect? Darn Diva won't match with anything. It wants its own Planta session. Oh, the King Blue. Yeah, they can be. It's a workhorse of a strain, but it can be a little finicky on certain things, and it'll fruit when it wants to fruit. It will not. It won't slow down for anything. Let's see. What else have I got here? Got some other things I can share, I'm sure. Just gotta figure out where I put them. I might have to hold on. I've got to minimize this so I can look. So there's a couple of things I was wanting to pull out, but I'm just not sure what folder I put them in. I might have to find that kind of slow. Oh no, my chat went away. Technical difficulties. All right, there we go. You're back. Yeah, make sure you guys use that code. Save some money on the good stuff. Try the LC Premix if you haven't tried it yet. It's super fun. And by fun, I mean, yeah, it'll make your liquid culture explode. Well, I'm having a little bit of trouble finding exactly what I want to find, but it's okay. We'll come back to it in a little bit. As far as anything else, I think so the tester network that we've got going, I've got a representative from 5 different regions in the U.S. So we have the Northwest, the Southwest, Northeast, Southeast, and the Midwest. And I'm just now getting the packages together for those to ship out. And so that's going to be pretty exciting because they just finished signing their paperwork, which was the agreements not to sell the strains or any of our intellectual property, to just grow the mushrooms and sell the mushrooms, that kind of thing. And then I got the data sheet sent off, I think, to everybody. Yeah. And then from there, we'll hopefully within a few weeks of sending those things out, we'll have some reports back on some of the new strains that we've got, and this will allow me to get some regional data across the board and really get these strains kind of pushed through the ringer, see how they perform. The colors too, like I've got some really interesting ones. There's one I'm calling birch blue right now that is just absolutely gorgeous. It is a really, really interesting color blue. So that's one of the first ones that that'll be one of the second series that goes out. The first series will be, we're doing a Urban Fungi sent me a pink oyster from Australia, so that'll be getting trialed out. And then we have the Jaybird oyster, which is right from here. We have the Saratoga Gold oyster, which is the golden oyster from Saratoga, New York, from the Saratoga battlefield. And oh no, what was I forgot what the fourth one was. Do you remember, Samantha? No, you're fine. You keep doing what you're doing. I can remember it. It is Colorado Comb Tooth from Shroom Squatch out in Colorado. That was it. So the Midwest guy is going to skip the gold for the reasons that we were talking about earlier about the ecological reasons for the golds. There's some worry that people have in the Midwest as being pretty overrun by them. So we're going to swap his out for a Hericium. But none in the Caribbean yet. Though I guess it really wouldn't be that hard to add that, simply because the it goes through the American Postal Service. So, but I live near Seattle. Most of the grain spawn producers are on the East Coast or Midwest. Is there any species of mushrooms that don't travel well during the hot summer months? Most of them. Where you're at in Seattle, you probably won't have too much to worry about. You live exactly in the hardest region for me to ship to, which I imagine is the hardest region for most people to ship to. And mainly just because it's so expensive for some reason to ship to you guys. Washington and Oregon are the two. Like, I can ship to Hawaii, Virgin Islands, Alaska, Costa Rica, Canada, Mexico. I can ship to all of those way cheaper than I can ship to you guys for some reason. However, there are Far West Fungi, I think, produces spawn and sell spawn. I'm trying to remember who else would be out that kind of closer to you that would have it survive a little better. Most of the Eastern producers, like even the big guys, won't typically cold pack. I think Amisil will cold pack, but don't quote me on that. And then you have Lambert's. Lambert's is who I always liked, but they never would cold pack stuff for me. I'd always buy a lot of spawn in the spring, and then put it in the fridge and slowly pull from it as I needed it through the summertime, and expand it into more spawn so it would last longer. To be fair, like most fungus, it's called the thermal barrier, but like a lot of fungus likes it a cooler temperature instead of a warmer temperature, and even the tropical ones can get heat stressed, especially in the spawn phase. So you have pink oysters should be fine. Gold oysters would probably do good. Pulmonarius would probably do well, so like the brown oysters. But blue oysters are gonna, they're gonna struggle a little bit. They get really heat stressed much easier. So there's the best thing to do is get your spawn supplier to cold pack it or get 2-day shipping. 2-day shipping is what I always recommend for people in the heat. So can someone tell me the humidity protocol for Mossy Creek mushroom? Is it 45 minutes on? Or no, I can tell you since I'm Mossy Creek mushrooms, John. But the humidity protocol is to have a dry cycle and a wet cycle. So what you want is a humidistat. And then with the humidistat, you want to program it to somewhere. Like for me right now, I think my grow chamber is somewhere, it's 90% at the high end and 65% at the low end. So that is what I do. And what that allows me to do is have times where it gets dry and it gets wet, and that helps keep humidity from just being there always, which is perfect for bacteria. Fungus doesn't really need it there constantly. It needs it there at certain periods. So, and that's one of the reasons why I suggest House of Hydro, the ultrasonic foggers. And I choose House of Hydro. I know other sonic foggers work. I know you can get all kinds of different ones and much cheaper on Amazon and stuff. But the House of Hydro guys have the best customer service. And anytime I've ever had a problem, John is always taking care of me. And so I really push those guys. If you want, you can use my affiliate link with them. It doesn't get you any money off. It gets it gets like you a full set of replacement discs, which is about $50 if you bought them normally. So if you use code Mossy at checkout, that'll get you those free discs, but it won't take any money off the price or anything like that. And I do get a kickback from that. So just being fully open and honest here, that I do get a kickback from them. But I used them for years before we developed that relationship. How long can spawn do well in the fridge? So blue oyster spawn for a long time. And spawn you can keep in there for weeks. It'll start to get soft, and I've even used it when it was a little bit softer. One of the big things I think is like blue oysters. I used to freeze blue oyster spawn. I would take it and I would freeze it, and I did a test at 6 weeks, 6 months. Or 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, a year, and a year and a half. And the spawn all the way up to a year being frozen for a full year works just fine. And the year and a half works just fine, but it seemed like I had a little bit of harder time waking up, so it would get added like a day or two in the test. But that was just during that one test. I would need to do some repeat studies. But blue oysters froze just fine. As far as refrigerating, I mean, it's going to depend on the species. It's going to depend on the temperature. It's going to depend on the cleanliness of your fridge, but quite a long time. Things can be stored quite longer than people really think they can. The longer they stay in there, the more nutrition they're eating up, the more catabolism they've gone through, the more they've eaten themselves to stay alive. So it's always better to use it fresh. It's always best to use it when it's running, but we don't always get the best. Sometimes we have to work around circumstances. So refrigerating and freezing will work some case. I know people that refrigerate pink oyster spawn, and it works just fine for them after they pull it out. So there's a lot of that. What's up, Marshall? Everyone, Marshall says hi. Do I need a tester for Utah? I might at some point. I've got a Southwest tester right now. I am looking to do a second layer of the strain tester network so that I'll have 10 testers total in the continental U.S. and I might expand that to some other regions at some point, maybe like Canada and Mexico and maybe even the Virgin Islands. But one of the things that there are, it's taken us a little bit of time to get this going. I want to get through some of the testing, the strain tester network before we start adding complexity to it. So I will definitely announce it whenever I open it back up. But and you guys follow me on Instagram if you can, because I'm a little bit more active on Instagram than I am on YouTube. Just because it's easier for me to just snap a photo or upload a little video. I am going to try to go back to having regular YouTube shorts, weekly live streams, and then work on the occasional video for you guys. It's hard for me to sit down and actually commit. I was thinking I was going to do like an hour a day, actually, I think the last time I did the live stream, I talked to you guys about that. And I was just like, afterwards, it's just been too much. I've got too much to do. I can't do it every day, but weekly I can definitely build it in. And now feeling better, can definitely take it, but I will announce it for sure. And announcements usually happen pretty rapidly on Instagram. So, in fact, we still have one mentorship space open at the 50% off rate, which is for the second to last, so August 18th through the 22nd. That's you and a plus one, 50% off. So it brings it down from $2,000 to $1,000 for the full week. So if anybody's interested in that, please reach out to me. But that was announced on Instagram as well, but hasn't been announced on YouTube, just because YouTube's a little bit more not complex, but it's a little different. Okay, thank you. What's the timing of the 69? I don't have a timing. It changes every day, because if it's raining outside, sometimes my humidifier won't even kick on, and if it's dry outside, it might run 24/7. So I don't do things on timing. Just the humidistat. If you're going to do timing, you're going to have to just play with it and figure it out. But it's going to change every day, because the weather changes every day outside. Michael Meach, I just got my house of hydro stuff in today. Hey, excellent. Set it up. Code Mossy got me a penny off. Yeah, it only knocks a penny off the order. It'll get you free discs. Yeah, so hopefully you get those free discs in. And thank you for that, because that does get me, like I said, a kickback. So you just made probably where Samantha and I might be able to go out and grab a little bite. What's your opinion on VPD controller? I hope Morchua watches this. Hold on. VPD controller. Oh, for the gotcha. Okay. I don't know anything about it. So very important for plants because it controls stomatal opening, transpiration rate, CO2 uptake, nutrient uptake, and plant stress. That's interesting. I'll have to read about it, Jacob. So sorry if you're trying to get some some stuff fired up. But I don't know. I don't know anything about the VPD controllers. So just looking at it, I mean, it sounds interesting, but a lot of things are going to depend on expense, and mushrooms are not plants. The fungus is not plants, so I don't really know if it would help, just depending on what it senses and how it changes it. So, sorry, Jacob. I need to get on there. I know that there's been a lot of talk on the Discord server, so I need to get on there. Actually, I'm going to have to start the weekly chats back up, Jacob. So I know you always enjoyed those, so maybe you and I need to talk about when is a good time for me to be on, so that you can be there for it. Do I have a Discord server? I do. It's called the Mossback Mushroom Network, or the Mossback Syndicate. I'm sorry, it's the Mossback Syndicate, and we do have it. The way to get on there is to do a consult mentorship with me, or to support us on Patreon. It can be as little as a $3 support, and you pay it the first month, and you get you access. And then, I mean, if you quit, I don't even check. So, but just we just funnel people in that way. So, there's a lot of good stuff on there. Apparently, a lot of good conversations, and even the occasional drama. So, if you like drama, ours probably actually it's definitely occasional drama. It's not a good place for drama. Don't bring your drama here. But it is a fun place. It gets more active during the winter time. During the summertime, everyone's doing markets and everything else, and they're just busy. So, like, I'm busy. I haven't been on in days. I need to get on the Discord and just start answering stuff, depending on what it is. Though, thankfully, my guys are pretty self-sufficient. I don't even know what's going on there. Do I need a tester for Jamaica? Not at this moment, but I might at some point. It's one of those things, like I said, that I may be opening it up to a second layer, and adding regions to it. But for now, I'm just going to run the 5 that I've got. And there are, you got to meet mandatory minimums, because it's going to take, I need you to grow 40 blocks that are representative of, if you're doing 5-pound blocks, I need you to do 45-pound blocks a month. If you're doing 10-pound blocks, 12-pound blocks, whatever you're doing, I need you to work off your standard, and I need you to do about 10 blocks a week dedicated to the strains. I send out 4 strains a month, or sorry, yeah, about 4 strains a month, except on months that have 5 weeks, I'll send out 5. But you get about a strain a week, and then I need people to run that testing out, and then they need to be able to take the time to do a data sheet, and then take reference photos for me, that kind of thing. So, and then there's agreements to not sell my strains in spawn culture or any other form other than fresh mushrooms, not to breed with my strains or genetically engineer them or even sequence them without permission, that kind of stuff. So it's one of those things. There's quite a few steps to it and to get it going, but I think it's going to be worth it for everybody, because it lets people a lot of diversity and gets them a little fun thing they get to play with. They get to test strains for free, other than the price of actually doing the blocks, but you got to do that anyways. So I'll definitely, like I said, I will announce it, Marie, because I'm definitely wanting to get to some more regions added. But oh no, Jake bringing up the VPD. Was there something on the? Do I need to go get off here and go look at my Discord? So I'm running a VPD controller with AC Xfinity, and I'm loving it. Keeps my grow room a little bit more on the dry side without the humidity crashing out. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll look at this. This will be something I'll run through the AI a little bit later. That's the biggest use I use for the AI. AI is so good for helping you learn stuff. It's not great about teaching you stuff, because you gotta catch it, because it lies to you. It lies to you all the time. So, but I'll bring up some of the VPD controllers for sure, and see about what I can get in there. So, thanks, Andrew. Just lost my battery in my headset at work. Keep up the great work. Really appreciate you. Thanks, Colin. I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. Sorry you lost it. How do I know when to use a wet cycle or dry cycle for humidity? Well, that's exactly what the humidistat's for. The humidistat is, it's a device. It's like a thermostat where it senses humidity and then turns on or off a device, and you can have it turn on your humidifier. So you just let it do its own natural wet and dry cycle, because if you just set it at the top end and the low end that far apart, 95 to 90% and 65% or so, you're going to have to tweak it. Whatever numbers you use, those are my numbers. And they work really well in my setup and in this region, but that's a good starting point. And then you work with that, and then you kind of play between those two. But what I find is that it will naturally overcorrect. So that gets you your wet and dry cycle. Absolutely. Yeah, John, you're very welcome. It's the ultrasonics in combination, like they'll sock a room in with fog. So what you do is, when you have that, I put my sensor on the vent end. So by the time it's sensing what's in the end of the grow room. So by the time, like, my humidity will turn on, my humidifier, and it just starts pouring humidity in. And then by the time it works its way through that room to the end and toggles that sensor, and it tells it to turn off, that whole room is completely socked in with fog. And then it senses that fog until that fog is completely gone. And then it lowers the humidity until it turns back on. And then now the room is completely dry. And I love this kind of humidifier because I have dry floors with it every time. There are very few times I've seen people use pressure misting systems with dry floors. Joe Iovino of Cactus Hat down in Florida, he was one of the few people I've ever seen get one of these. Josiah of ET Fungi up in Knoxville, he had dry floors the past 3 or 4 times that I went up there, and he uses a heart system as well. So the heart systems are great, apparently, if you can get them dialed in. And I'm guessing that the people that I've even visited, like T.R. Davis and some of the other guys that had the sopping wet floors when I was there with the heart systems, probably have those things dialed in these days, because that was early on in everyone's career. So, but yeah, man, I'm glad I could help. Give me 1 second. I've got a cough, so let me run a quick little. In fact, let's just do Hey folks, welcome to another sponsorship for the MushRune Cast. We're always talking about dialing in your grow setup, and when it comes to humidity, there's one name we trust, House of Hydro. These foggers are an absolute game changer for mushroom cultivation. House of Hydro's ultrasonic humidifiers put out an incredibly fine, cool mist. So fine, in fact, that mycelium can actually uptake it straight from the air. That means better hydration, better growth, happier mushrooms, and better yields. And let me tell you, these things are way easier to vent around your op than setting up full-on plumbing pressure systems. No pipes, no hassle, just perfect humidity right where you need it. And when you're working with the best, you want the best support. John at House of Hydro takes care of his customers better than anyone in the game. If you ever need help, they've got you covered. And because House of Hydro is sponsoring the MushRune Cast, we've got a deal for you. Use code MOSSY at checkout, and you'll get a full set worth of free replacement discs with your order. It's up to a $50 value. Get yourself a House of Hydro fogger. Your mushrooms will thank you. Keep spawning culture, y'all. Welcome back to my presence. Falcor says, how's the plant tissue cultures going? They're going well. I've got a little bit of an issue where they're growing too well in the containers, and they are starting to lose leaves because they are just so bound up on themselves. So the good news is that I now have sterile tissue that I can take and work. So tomorrow is probably going to be an agar day for me. I've got to pour a lot of agar, so we got to break the pump out, and I got to pour plates. Speaking of, I don't know if you guys saw, but we just released our Spore Kindler formula, which is our agar premix. So it's Dr. Solarian's, Dr. Solarian's Spore Kindler formula is the agar premix, and then the Elixir of Mycelial Mastery is the LC premix. But I've got to do a bunch of that tomorrow anyways, so I'm just going to make up some plant agar as well. And I got to pour more cups. And then what I'll do is I'll just take that tissue that's already sterile, and I'll be able to cut that into all kinds of little pieces and move it around. And that's the hard part I'm finding with plant tissue culture is collecting the sterile tissue in the first place. Some things are easier than others. But things like peppers and stuff I found were easiest to get it from seed. The problem is, how do you know you have a good individual? So I plant like 5 or 6 sterilized like seeds, and I sterilize with isopropyl alcohol wash. I then do a bleach wash, and then I do a sterile water rinse, and then I take those seeds and I'll plant them with sterilized forceps into the containers. And I found with that, I'm even able to get the tiniest little seeds or the biggest seeds clean really easy. The plant tissue itself, like this kind of stuff, the fleshy bits, the bleach really eats away at that stuff, and it's good, but it's it's taking me a little bit of time to learn how to really do that well. But I will say that from the spring, I did get ramps. I did 10 ramp tissue clones, and 2 of them came out really nice, and 2 of them have come out not so nice. So that's another thing I'd like to do is see if I can transfer the ramp tissue, cut that up into 2 or 3 little bits, and get those transferred to a new cup. Because ramps are slow, man. They are slow growing. And there might be an allium formula that I could use better for that. But yeah, the plant tissue culture is going well. The way I figure it actually is that I'll probably be doing a lot more plant tissue culture through the winter time. It'll be a good way for me to get plants, and for the spring. But it'll also be wintertime's always dialed back for me because like right now I got the garden. I got my kids asking to go to the lake. I've got my parents that I want to hang out with and barbecue with. I've got I want to be out in the garden. I don't want to be inside. I don't want to be in the lab during the summertime. I want to be out mushroom hunting or, plant hunting. And that's one thing that we are doing is I will be looking for, wild plants to bring back. They're just harder to get the tissue clean without killing it. So, now they have looked at it like some of the things that we learn in fungal culture, like taking from the center mass, is interesting. But a lot of plants, the center mass tissue is actually not all that great because you want where the metabolic activity is going. So you want the xylem and phloem that are just under the bark or the outer skin of the plant. I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting field, and I could see myself really getting absorbed into plant tissue culture. It's fun. Yeah, seeing the green in the lab is just mind blowing. Like it's such a beautiful thing. Like, but I got to do what makes money, and the mushrooms make me money. So, and of course, I am in love with the mushrooms. So, and I've devoted like, golly, ooh, wow, 2008 is when I started growing mushrooms. 2013 is when I started the business. So, I mean, I've been going at it for a while. So, but for me, I'm much more interested in I love mushrooms, but I think that most of you guys will understand what I'm saying here, in that I'm interested in all of it. Most mushroom people that I come across are naturalists first, and then they are mushroom enthusiasts. And the mushrooms kind of take hold because they're new and they're wonderful, but they also form the foundation of everything, and they have such a fascinating new way of growing compared to other things for us, the things that we're used to as a society. So, like, I don't know. I want to do it all. I do the fish. That's why in the garden I've got the fish and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sitting out there every day, and I'm like, man, every day I go out here in this garden and I see like a year's worth of content right there. So I've thought about doing a secondary channel. Wouldn't do it to Mossy Creek mushrooms because Mossy Creek mushrooms it would dilute the brand, I guess. But like, I don't know, maybe a Mossy Creek Biologicals or I don't know, Mossy Creek Swamp Gardens. I don't know what I would do, but like just go out there and show the way that I grow all this food in this very like wetland ecosystem that I've built in a parking lot. And mushrooms are the foundation of that. But the plant tissue culture gets me a lot of the plants for that, and allows me to bring stuff back and try it out. So I don't know, man. There's a lot of stuff that I want to try and do, and plant tissue culture is definitely one I'm going to keep playing with. But I have to focus. I've got to focus. My life is getting more complicated just naturally, right? I'm right about 40, so I'm getting to the point where I got to start paying attention to where I'm going in the next 20 years. And then Savannah and our parents are not old, but they are aging. And so we got to start thinking about what do we need to do about putting ourselves in a position to help our family. And then my kids are growing up, so I've got to be in a position to be a father to adults. And hopefully for a while, I won't be a grandfather, but a grandfather eventually. So, it's one of those things like I got to simplify some of my business life and my interests because I got a lot going on. I got don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining, because if the worst thing in life that happens to me is that I have a full life full of things and full of things that demand my attention and want my attention and to be with me, I don't think I've got a bad life. So, but I do love plant tissue culture. There's nothing like going into the lab and seeing that wall on the shelf with the green plants growing. There's just something like you see green and you just, Do you have a mushroom growers farmers reading list? Pug AI. So are you a real AI, or are you a real person, or are you an AI pretending to be a person? Tell me. That said, Pug, I've got an amazing. So you're specifically asking growers farmers reading list. A real person. So I was just saying that because there are some people who, even though I use a little bit of AI for stuff, like I'm now getting, when I write an email to people, people are like I literally had a guy. Now, granted, he was just trying to complain to be complaining, I think, but he was literally like, "You sound like an AI," and I'm like, because I sound professional? I don't understand, because I'm trying to be professional, or I'm coming off like what, robotic? I was like, how do you mean that? Do you mean this constructive? Or do you mean this to be a constructive criticism of my way I talk to people? Or do you mean this to just be hurtful because you're upset? And so, who knows? But to answer your question, growers and cultivators and farmers. So this might surprise people, but if you're going to be a farmer of anything, I suggest The Lean Farm. The Lean Farm is the first book that I would read. It's not even a mushroom book, right? But that will teach you the principles of systems thinking. But who knows AI all the time? So it's true. I have radical mycology. Oh no, I have rolled over my cord. Hold on, guys. I'm going to try to do this without disconnecting again. Okay. I'm just going to put this in my lap. So I have Radical Mycology. That's by Peter McCoy. That's a really great one. I wish he could have wrote that book and it been half the size. If he had just taken out a lot of, I don't know, the fluff. But it's still an amazing book. It still covers a wide range of things. Paul Stamets's Mushroom Cultivator and Growing Gourmet and Medicinal Mushrooms is great. Both of those are great books. Trad Cotter's Growing. Oh, what is the name? I can't remember Trad Cotter's book all of a sudden. If anybody remember Trad Cotter's book's name, put that in the chat, will you? Mycelium Running is a great one if you want more like permaculture based stuff or outdoor stuff. It's not a good way if you were trying to make money with it, but it was the first book I bought mistakenly thinking that it was a cultivator's guide, but it is a low tech guide and it's still good. Now, if you're talking, there's Mushroom Cultivation by Peter Oy, I think that's how you say it. Mushroom Cultivation 4. That mainly goes over equipment and more like large commodity mushroom farms. And then if you're looking for biology-based stuff, this is not a cultivator thing, so nobody rush out and grab this book because it is not a cheap book. But The Fungi, 3rd edition by Sarah C. Watkinson, Lynn Boddy, and Nicholas P. Money. Ooh, P. Money. A good name. Those guys wrote a fantastic book and have helped me understand the physiology and all the biology of mushrooms that we currently know. So it's a fantastic book for that. But if you could only get one, probably Radical Mycology. Peter McCoy, for the fluff that is in it, it has everything you need as well. So, and I recognize I'm not the target audience, guys. I recognize that a lot. I almost prefer textbooks. Don't give me the fluff. Just give me the information. I'll put the fluff in myself. So, you know what I mean. Big up Monster Creek, love and respect. Thank you. Speaking of love and respect, and same back to you, Hendrix. But Pug, I mean that to Peter McCoy with all due respect. Like, he wrote a fantastic book. But it's one of those things where you kind of get in there and you kind of put your political example in there. You make it about social justice, that kind of stuff. That all leans one way. And I'm not saying which way I lean or not. But if you want to capture the widest audience, you want to keep your scope wide, I guess is what I mean. But yeah, thank you, Hendrix. I really appreciate that. And same back to you. That's really cool. You were getting into issue culture. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I love it. Part of the thing that I really want to do eventually, but I want to do it all. I want to do it all, and I got 20 years. I feel like, right? 20 years before, like, if I retire at 60, it's a good age to retire, right? If I can get there. So if I survive to 60 and I keep my health up and I keep going, I feel like that would be a good age to retire and let like one of the kids take over the mushroom business. I want to do it all. 20 years ain't enough. It ain't enough to learn it all and do it all. I got to specialize at some point. So, hey, it's Myco Nerd. Question: how often should I be stirring up LC? Also, when is a good time to mix, and is there any reason why you wouldn't want to mix what? Like to stir it, to mix it, kind of thing. So just to be stirring LC, I use the Man of War stir plates, the Thor stir plates. By the way, they are the best stir. I don't even get a kickback for these. You can buy them on my site, but I don't really get much of a kickback at all for these things if you buy them on my site. If you go buy them from them, I don't get a kickback at all. So if you don't want to support me, that's even more reason to go to them, right? But Man of War Innovations, they sell them through Mushroom Media Online. They sell them through Full Canopy. They sell them through us. There are probably other people they sell them through. These things really rip mycelium up. It whips it. So I will sometimes put it on low and let it go overnight. But I'll get in there and I'll change my granted, I've got 300 jars or something going right now. And not every one of them gets stirred every day. But the ones that, what I do is I focus on the ones that are in the highest metabolic phase. As they form a pellicle, if I see a little bit of the skin develop, I put them on that plate and I have it rip that pellicle apart. So that's the way I just do it. Is I whip it, I put it aside, I just kind of rotate them, and I check for them. I don't just whip the shit out of them constantly because that would obviously be detrimental to it. But yeah, that's what I do. Makes it really easy to because you have that visual indicator of the pellicle. The pellicle being the fungal growth, the mat that gets on top. If you've ever grown kombucha, people, and I'm just saying this for the people who aren't familiar with this or are newer. When you grow kombucha and you make that, you get this little mat at the top that is a symbiotic organism of fungus and bacteria and things like that. That is a pellicle. That what creates the mat is the mycelium, and then the bacteria live on the mycelium, the fungus, which is so cool to me because if you think about it, like the mycelium in that liquid acts kind of like a tree does out here. It creates structure and a 3D shape that then allows organisms to live on it. So it actually, instead of just a flat earth, it creates niches. And the mycelium does the exact same thing. So it's actually really interesting. It happens in the soil too with mycelium. If you guys ever want to go down a rabbit hole, look up globulin, globulin, soil and globulin. It is a crazy rabbit hole. Thank you, Michael Phillips, the late Michael Phillips, who wrote Mycorrhizal Planet, which is a one of my favorite books of all time. Alaska Critter Cam. Hello from Alaska Critter Cam. I'm going to have to check you out. You taught me so much over the years. I grow some awesome king blue, oyster, and lion's mane because of you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Excellent. Congratulations on the grow, too, by the way. And then thank you so much for the kind words. And I'm going to check it out because I love the very idea. I've always wanted to live in Alaska. I've got family that moved up there, and man, they get their fishing license and go capture all that salmon, and it's just all the tasty foods up there. Plant tissue culture, like mycology, uses similar techniques. That's exactly a sterile technique. That's exactly the reason why I picked it up. I was like, I can take my skill set. It's the same thing as like, I like yeast culture, I like koji culture, I like bacteriology. I can take the same skill set and I get to apply it with slight variations. It's like a tech tree, right? And I've learned this tech tree, and now I get to just slightly vary it. I don't have to learn the whole new tree again. I just get to plug in right here and right here and right here. And thankfully, yeast culture and bacteriology, I'm going to say this, and hopefully it doesn't offend anybody, it's simpler, right? And I don't mean that it's actually simpler, because it's not actually simpler. It's just as much of a rabbit hole as any other one of these fields. But it's pretty easy to pick up. To me, yeast is one of the easiest things to grow. Way easier than regular mycelium. Think y'all plug this in a learning model AI mushy empire coming soon. Hey man, whatever. I'm willing to cyborg it up. Neuralink me and give me an artificial heart and some lungs. I still want to keep my humanness, but if I got a body that's not constantly coughing or inflaming. And Myco Nerd watched a video where a guy took a confirmed contaminated LC syringe and used it in some honey water. After a month unstirred, the good mycelium was reaching above where it could be used. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I've seen techniques like this where they'll let it grow up to glass and you can scrape off the side of the glass, and plant that in a plate. Definitely have seen that. I use the same thing with cardboard and LC. I'll take cardboard, sterilize it, wet it, sterilize it, and then you can take a strip of cardboard, put it in a petri dish, put a little LC on one side, and then as the mycelium takes, because the bacteria doesn't really break down the cardboard. And what I do is I keep the plate at an angle so the LC is always slid down. It's hard for me to mirror. So the LC stays down here, but then the mycelium grows up the cardboard, and then you can cut right here, and now you've just cleaned up. So I know you've touched on this many times in the past, but I can't seem to find the videos. Can you talk about the shapes of cuts in your bag as you do, please? Oh, yeah. So, again, just real quick, for anyone who's just joined us, I don't have the video out yet, but there's going to be a clickbaity video come out with the thumbnail. It's going to say "I quit" on it. But I don't grow mushrooms commercially anymore. I do all lab work. We do spawn. I do grow mushrooms for the extracts, for spore prints, for testing, the initial test phase of things, for breeding purposes, that kind of thing. So I don't do that. But the cut that I do even for those is a U shape. So I cut however the bag is going to be oriented. So it's usually with the filter patch collapsed down against the bag and then the bag rolled over on its side, compressing that plastic down so there's no air in it. And then the U will basically, I make it to where the flap will open right vertically so that as the mushrooms grow, they push that flap up. So that's the biggest one I do. And we do about this big. We actually call it the shaka. On the 12-pound blocks, we do a cut about that long. So, I've seen people do the X bag pattern. I've never liked the X pattern. I do like the slit. The slit works pretty well, but on oysters, I find that sometimes it grows, and falls off. Same with the punch. I used to use the punch entirely. But you just punch into a bag with like a leather punch or something, and it would grow from that, and it would stretch the bag out as it needed. But it's my favorite's the U shape is what it comes down to. I recommend people try different ones because everyone settles on one that they like, and your system is going to be different than my system. This is actually a common concept. I was reading in a book about how they bred shiitake strains in Japan. Mushroom breeding. The only author I can remember is Chang. But in that book, they specifically talk about how a Japanese farm, let's say if it's starting up or whatever, or they need a strain for whatever reason, their old one's going down. They buy in a bunch of different strains and from their competitors, and they trial them all through their system, and they'll breed. They'll do the mono to mono, and they'll breed a bunch of different varieties together, and then they'll test all those through. And the one that does the best through their system is the one they'll grow typically. And then they constantly are testing their competitors. But what they find a lot of times is that their competitor strains don't actually do well in their systems. And same for the other competitors. Like these, they end up finding that the shiitake strains, because of the way the system works, the shiitakes are really just geared for that one system or another. I'm starting a shiitake breeding program. I think that we can create a wider performance, like across a wider subset, but we're not there yet. Shiitake is a long time breeding just because of the long fruiting cycle. I didn't mean mix and stir. Oh yeah, gotcha. Did I answer that part? Let me see. Where are we at? Also, when is a good time to mix, and is there any reasons why you wouldn't want to? Okay, so I didn't answer that part. Just to go back real quick, Micro Nerd. The only time I don't like stir is if it has already been whipped that day, because I don't want to stress it too much. I mean, to be fair, sometimes I'll really whip the shit out of it. So, but the main time that I do not stir is when I do a needle biopsy or the bull nose biopsy. The needle biopsy, anytime I do a biopsy or agar to liquid, I do not stir for 3 or 4 days. I'll occasionally go there every day and I'll pick up the jar and I'll look through and I'll kick it up. And my LC premix has got a lot of sediment in the bottom, so what I'm looking for is a floating mass that looks kind of like a jellyfish, and I want that to be about a dime size, an American dime. It doesn't have to be very big, but you want it to have grown a few cells out, and then whip it really hard for 30 seconds to a minute. And then the next day, same thing, 30 seconds to a minute. And then eventually you get to the point where you can leave it on there for 5, 10, 15 minutes. So I hope that answers your question. I've been digging my toe into tissue culture. My first attempts were with cacti last year. I've learned a lot since then and planning on doing the full plunge. Man, Cacti Fanatic, I think is his name, on Instagram. I follow him. He and I talk occasionally. He was actually in mushrooms for 20 years before he got into plant tissue culture. And then I'm like, no, sorry. Yeah, I think I have that right. Okay, yeah. So, no, I don't have that right. I'm an idiot. He was in plant tissue culture, like the weed industry, for like 20 years, and then it started getting into mushrooms. And then I'm from mushrooms for close to 20 years, 15 years, we'll say. And I'm getting into plant tissue culture. So he and I have just been sharing some stuff back and forth. And he's a super cool guy. So, but he does cacti. But yeah, I mean, it's fun. Like I want to do. So one of my dreams is to do plant tissue culture and then mycorrhizal species. So like, can we get chanterelles? Can we go clone the tree? Can we go pick a chanterelle and clone it? Can we go to the tree that the chanterelle was growing off associated with those roots? How we identify that is to be, seen still. I'm sure somebody's done that work. But you go out there and you get that tree. Now we clone that tree. Or we collect seeds from that tree because they're easier to wash and clean, whatever. But then can we bring that back and recombine it in the lab? And then if that's the case, can we mass manufacture chanterelle trees? Of course, you work your way up to truffles and stuff eventually. But yeah. Did you ever test the pH of your water? Did you say that you guys have a lot of lime? We have a lot of lime. It's very hard most of the time. What was it last time I checked? I had to use pH down. Like my bottle of pH down has been replaced multiple times. My bottle of pH up is not gone. Like I'm not even halfway through it over years. Was it an 8 here or something like that? I could be wrong. But yeah, I test it every time I make plant media. So many things to fully plunge into, and yes, time is cruel. It's true, man. Like I want it all. I want to know it all. I'm curious about it all. It's cruel to make me so curious, and then to make me die. 80 years is not enough. 120 years wouldn't be enough. By the way, the LC premix is no joke. Hey, man, thanks. Glad you like it, dude. I love my LC premix. I'm glad that you enjoy it. Guys, what he's talking about is our LC premix, the Dr. Solarian's Elixir of Mycelial Mastery. It's under our lab supplies page on the website, but this is something that I've been working on for a while now. Going into all this plant nutrition and understanding the enzymatic pathways that mushrooms have. Mushrooms are so cool. Like I said, what I was talking about earlier, where animals went mechanical, mushrooms and fungus went chemical. And so it's so cool. It's so cool because fungus depends so heavily on epigenetics. They have these epigenetic switches, and you can literally turn things on and off the certain pathways by changing their environment. Their environment is their food, right? So by changing your substrate, you can literally turn certain enzyme pathways on, certain enzyme pathways off. You can change the way their transporter molecules work. So one of the interesting things I found after reading this is that widely accepted that fungus, as it grows, we put nitrogen in these bags, right, to help boost it a little bit. And what's really fascinating to me is that as Teddy, you okay? Oh, the kids are back from their bike ride. Brody, let him out or something, man. Thank you. So one of the interesting things about this is like nitrogen. A mushroom is growing through the environment. Nitrogen pretty poor, right, in wood. So as it's growing, and it needs that nitrogen, and it finds nitrogen. And it's found this little node of nitrogen. It grows all through it, and you would think it's going to gobble it up real fast, and it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't change the rate of uptake. Apparently, the rate of uptake is efficient enough that it has not had a selective pressure or something to really change the uptake of it, the uptake volume. What it changes instead is in the soma, the liquid in the mycelium, it changes these transporter molecules to where they carry, instead of 4 nitrogen molecules, they'll carry 8. So it doubles the rate at which it transports it through its system to where it's needed. And so it's I don't know why I find that so fascinating. It's like you would think, oh, it eats faster. It doesn't eat any faster. It literally just changes its inside so that it is more efficient at transporting it around. It can, and then as soon as it has its nitrogen needs filled, even though there's a ton of nitrogen there, it just turns that molecule back to a 4-seater, just the maintenance mode. It's got a maintenance mode, and then I'm hungry. I don't change my food, or the way I eat. I change the way my system transport. I don't know why I get so interested in that. But anyways, I don't know how I got off LC premix to that. But yeah, I ended up just working and having a lot of the study in the nutritional pathways and the enzymatic pathways, and so I came with that LC premix. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Yep, you can. I can't really hear you well. There we go. I would assume the uploading your mind thing would have to stop the flesh consciousness to only run metallic. I don't see a good transition. I'm not saying upload my mind. I'm just saying put a Neuralink, there. I'd be okay with Neuralink. As long as I can still be me and I can turn it off. Thanks for all the good info, Andrew. Yeah, Eric, have a good one. Hey, your icon changed. Ooh, are you becoming like Northsport? No, I'm not. I'm not really becoming like Northsport, I wouldn't think. In that maybe I'm specializing, but they don't really specialize. They actually have a much broader product line. So, I'm kind of drilling down into the things that I'm doing. I mean, the nutritional premixes are something that I'm really enjoying. And then the genetic side of things are what I enjoy. But I'm not doing kits, or I don't have an interest in being a equipment salesman or anything like that. Leave that to Ben. Maybe combined will become like Walmart, or the Walmart of mushrooms, the North Spore. Hello, I love plants and fungi. Orchids growing is both worlds since they need certain fungi to germinate and grow at the first stages. Try to grow some European terrestrial orchids right now. Interesting. So Samantha's trying to get me into orchids. Ever since I started the plant tissue culture, that's been one of the things that she is all about. She wants me to get into orchids. And I think it would be interesting. One step. That's what you missed, where I just talked about how much I'm trying to simplify. There's too many things to know, and I'm curious about all of them, but I'm trying. It's endlessly struggling with doing fewer things. Endlessly struggling. Description of my life. Endlessly struggling with doing fewer things. I could get behind that. Oh, you're very welcome, John. Absolutely. Oh, there is something different with Japanese cultures. The only maitake that I managed to grow the furthest to development with my ultrasonics were clone Japanese maitake. So that's another thing, man. They've got domestication down to an art. They really have, they're able to grow a lot of stuff. I've seen in a lot of Japanese setups that we really struggle with. We're just not there yet on the mycological world. I mean, fish too, like aquaculture, they're ahead of the game. I mean, really, I think they're just kind of ahead of the game when it comes to a lot of agriculture. Being constrained with land makes you more interested. And do I remember Shogun, the book? Uh-huh.
where he was talking about how like they were so resource poor that even like, and this is a book, I don't know how true it is, but in the book they were like taking human poop, and even every bit of human poop was being put into the system.
Yeah, I do remember that actually. So I don't know if you guys heard. I didn't see it like Mike light up, but Charles was saying that in the book Shogun, that's a book that he and I have read multiple times. Oh yeah, there is the show now. Yeah, but in the book they were talking about how they're so resource poor, they're so resource constrained there with the land that they even harvest the human, like every little bit of human poop is just like precious fertilizer. So.
They didn't do a lot of large animal agriculture for the same reason, since they got into farming the sea and mushroom cultures, and everything they did is like hyper intensive.
Yeah.
Because of the land limitations.
Yeah, he was just talking about how they got into how would you put like farming the sea. They didn't do a lot of animal agriculture because the animal agriculture is so resource intensive. Yeah. Would you be interested for some European polypore strains for your bank? Yes, yes. The answer to that question is always yes. I don't know how the regulation would be for the USA. I'm not worried about the USA so much as I'm worried about the European laws. Like, so the customs in Europe are much more strict, and what I have found with the American customs so far is if we don't know, we side on, they just let you go. And with Europe, if they don't know, they make you wait until they ask their superior. So that has been my experience every time I've ever had a problem with customs, one side or the other. But yes, I would be interested. If you'll email me, you can go to our website, use the contact us form, or mossycreekmushrooms@gmail.com. I am happy to open up the Michelodium. Huh? Kypriotis Theo. I don't know what that is. That sounds Greek. I'm still curiouser and curiouser about everything. That's the problem I run into. But that's how you keep a joyful spirit, I feel like. Is there any pathways that boost immune system against bacteria? There are immune systems. So secondary metabolite production is in response to contamination most of the time. So actually, one of the things that we do for the block premix, really interesting, that I'm working on, is you put stressors in there. You actually put in things that will slightly stress the mushrooms, just slightly, because the difference between stress and poison, you don't want to dosage exactly. So the idea there would be you put in just enough that you stimulate, you kind of tickle the mushrooms, right? And they're like tee hee, and then they produce whatever. Psilocybin actually is a secondary metabolite. It's an alkaloid, and there's some research that I've seen that it may actually have been a deterrent to being eaten. Right? Yeah, Charles said I'd buy that. Yeah, no kidding. Is there a way you can tell cultures apart just by mycelium growth alone? No, not really. It is super tough. You can with certain things, certain mycelium, but it's usually after they produce secondary metabolites. Again, what I've talked about. If you think about where animal life and fungal life split on the tree of life, animals went mechanical, fungus went chemical. So fungus is mostly very simplistic. It's very simplistic physiology, like physical structure, but and animals work a lot more on the mechanical side. But when you're only one cell wall thick, you have to have really potent chemical defenses. And so mycelium becomes a simplistic, and I say that, it's not really that simple, but it's because life is always complex. But you have this simplistic-ish life form that then has enzymatic pathways that turn on and off, and it produces a host of chemical defenses and metabolites and just everything. So whereas we went so mechanical, we have little bugs running around inside of us called white blood cells that literally grab the enemy and remove it, right? So we turn up the heat. We have all these defenses, but they're mostly mechanical filters, filtration, and all kinds of stuff.
What I hear you say also is that the mycelial structure, there's not as much variety.
Right.
There's not as
Right. There's not as much physical variety. And
much less physical variety. Whereas with animals, there's a lot more physical variety, a lot more variation from species to species, or even from phenotype within the species.
Absolutely. So what Charles was just saying is that what he's hearing me say is that you have a lot less physical variety amongst the fungus, but then you have a lot of chemical variety, and then in animal life you have a high amount of physical differences of variety, and then I'm not going. We're not as we don't. I'm not sure that you could say that we're less complex chemically, but yeah, it's not our primary means of defense and things like that. So. I mean, we our food. Look at that difference. Like, right, mycelium literally exudes a metabolite, liquefies their food, sucks the liquid back up. We grab it, we chew it, we macerate it, etc. And Jake Wolfs went, Charles. Answers to great questions lead to more questions. Wish you luck there. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. So glad I ran into this channel. It's been a while. I'm gonna get the LC out and knock up some grain. You have to, man. You have to. It's your. Yep. Kinky. Can see it being a defensive mechanism, but then you're also talking about creatures with the memory for it to work on way back in the beginning. Like, yeah, clarify what you mean there. Gotcha. Yeah. I'm not sure either. Guys, give me one more second, or give me a second. I'm gonna go give you a quick sponsor. Imagine a world where the most unique, rare, and powerful mushroom strains are preserved, studied, and shared with growers like you. That's exactly what we're building with the Mycologium, a living archive of fungal biodiversity, sourced from the wild, expanded in the lab, and made available for researchers, growers, and curious minds alike. But here's the best part. You can be a part of it. If you're a bioprospector, a forager, or just someone who loves finding cool mushrooms in the wild, you can send in your samples. If you send me in a wild mushroom and I can successfully clone it, I'll send you back a cleaned up culture of it. If you send me a culture that you've already cleaned up yourself, I'll send you one for our library, ready to grow, experiment with, or add to your collection. That's right. Culture for culture. You help expand the library, and you get something amazing in return. The goal? To preserve fungal diversity, to give people access to new genetics, and maybe, just maybe, to discover something truly groundbreaking. So if you've got an interesting mushroom, a rare find, or a strain that deserves a place in the archives, send it in. Let's build something incredible together. The Mycologium, preserving fungal biodiversity, one culture at a time. Want to learn more? Hit us up, shoot us a message, and let's keep spawning culture, y'all. Hey guys, I'm back. Thank you. I needed that little break. I was getting a little sloshy. Actually, we have been on for 2 hours, so I think I might just go ahead and call it. You guys have been quite lovely. This has been a good thing. I'm glad that I jumped on and did the surprise podcast. Have you run into any other KO crosses like KBO, anything else cross? So King Blue Oyster is not I know I confuse people with that all the time. It's not actually an actual king. It is just the king of blues. You might. That's right. It's the king of blues. The blue king. There we go. Well, but there's a lot of king oyster crosses out there. If you mean more like the oh crap, what's the word? Hybrid, like a true hybrid, like interspecies hybrid. I think I'm not sure if the Black Pearl has king oyster in it or not. There's some people that have done work on that, but I think that one is actually a 3-parent strain, so it's yeah, super kinky. Mushrooms get kinky like that, man. They get super kinky. Hey, let's do that one more AI one more time for the road, huh?
People ask all the time, Can you eat these mushrooms raw? The answer is yes.
What's the clip from? It's not even it's the same voice that all those AI Yeti and Sasquatch videos.
Is that why
yes.
You said those, and I was like, I recognize this voice, but I can't think what it's from.
Yeah.
Right, so did you actually? Is that a clip from the AI Yeti?
No, it's
programmed the text.
Yeah, but it gave it that voice. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why it gave it the voice. That's exactly. BPK seems to be Ostreatus neverodensis. Yeah, okay, there we go. So that's and neverodensis is very, very similar to a rain guy, anyways. I appreciate it, guys. Check everything out. Check out the website. Of course, remember we got the Elixir of Mycelial Mastery. We also have the Spore Kindler formula up. That's right. Charles is the voice of the Elixir. He's the voice of the Elixir commercial. Oh man, I imagine that is the case. I've still wanted to have crab cakes. I haven't had lion's mane crab cakes yet.
Oh, I think that.
Yeah, I would eat it big time. That's from Greek origin. Yes, I'm French. Customs here are no too picky, honestly, besides the normal tag. Oh, so France, I've actually had, I don't know what it is about France, but Germany is a pain to ship to. France is not. France has not been a big problem. So I import beetles from Taiwan that often eat. Yeah, so I used to sell cultures to a couple of different people that would raise those beetles. And I mean, he had like some of those like soup cups, like 32-ounce soup cups with grubs in them that you could visibly see that were huge. I mean, the grubs were just absolutely gigantic. He said they stayed like the stage for like a year or two before becoming beetles. I mean, all kinds of beetles. Like there are people that raise everything. I like the rhinoceros beetles and stuff. Like people raise these giant beetles. It's crazy. They feed them on fungus. Yeah, that's what they eat in the wild. Is that punky wood? Yeah. But so sharing all your valuable knowledge. Absolutely, Michael Nerd. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming along for the ride. You guys have a good night, and please like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Check out the website. Check out the new strains that are up, and keep checking because we've always got new stuff coming out. But as soon as I can figure out how to end it, I'm going to end it. So I'll see you guys. Keep spawning culture. Keep spawning culture.